Olivier Levasseur was born in France during the 9 Years' War, around the year 1688, to a wealthy family. Olivier grew up receiving the best education that money could buy at the time and eventually became an architect. In 1701, during the War of Spanish Succession, which lasted until 1714, Olivier became a privateer for the French crown. He procured a letter of marque from King Louis XIV. A letter of marque was a government license that authorized a private person known as a privateer or corsair to attack and capture vessels of a nation at war with the issuer. A letter of marque and reprisal would include permission to cross an international border to conduct any action against an attack and was authorized by an issuing jurisdiction to conduct those operations outside its borders, basically giving these people free rein to do whatever they wanted. When the war ended in 1714, Olivier was ordered to return home with his ship, but instead he chose to join Benjamin Hornigold and his pirate company. During the war, Olivier proved himself as a solid leader and a good shipmate, which made him a desirable captain on the high seas. Levasseur and Hornigold would go on to have a successful year of looting, but they would split shortly thereafter. Then Levasseur decided to head to the Brazilian coast. At this time, Levasseur was the leader of a stolen 22-gun merchant frigate named La Louise, and with the ship's power, he would attack as many boats and ships that came his way. One notable attack happened when the ship came upon a slave ship on its way to the south of Brazil. Olivier attacked, leading to it being robbed and damaged, and then Levasseur left the ship to sink with its crew still on board and left the remaining 240 slaves from the ship on an island near Rio de Janeiro. In 1718, Levasseur was told of riches on a French merchant ship in the Bay of Paranaguá. Levasseur found the ship and gave chase, but it was caught in a storm off the coast of the Caatinga Islands. Olivier's ship sank on March 9, 1718, and with it came the death of approximately 80 of his crew. Levasseur managed to escape on a small brigantine that escorted his ship, and from there went south, São Francisco de Sol, where he robbed a boat full of cavassa flour in order to feed his surviving crew. After regrouping, Levasseur and his pirates sailed further north and began to prey on ships once again. In 1719, he operated together with Hal Davis and Thomas Coughlin for a time, and in 1720 they attacked the slave port of Quedo, king of Whydah, reducing the local fortress to ruins. Later that year, he was shipwrecked in the Mozambique Channel and stranded on the island of Anjouan in the Comoros. He had a bad eye from the injury in the War of Succession and had become completely blind by now, so he started wearing an eye patch. From 1720 onwards, Levasseur launched his raids from a base on the island of Sainte Marie, just off the coast of Madagascar, together with pirates John Taylor, Jasper Cigar, and Edward England. They would plunder the Laccadives and sold the loot to Dutch traders for £75,000. Levasseur and Taylor eventually got tired of England's humanity and marooned him on the island of Mauritius. They then perpetrated one of piracy's greatest exploits, the capture of the Portuguese great galleon Our Lady of the Cape, which was loaded full of treasures belonging to the Bishop of Gog. The pirates were able to board the vessel without firing a single broadside because the ship had been damaged in a previous storm, and to avoid capsizing, the crew had dumped all 72 of its cannons overboard. The booty consisted of bars of gold and silver, dozens of boxes full of golden guineas, diamonds, pearls, silk, art, religious objects, including the fiery cross of Goa, made of pure gold and inlaid with diamonds, rubies, and emeralds. It was so heavy that it required 3 men to carry it to Levasseur's ship. In fact, the treasure was so huge that the pirates did not bother to rob the ship's passengers, which is something they normally would have done. When the loot was divided, each pirate received at least £50,000 worth of gold guineas, as well as 42 diamonds each. Segur died when they sailed to Madagascar to divide their take. Levasseur and Taylor would split the remaining gold and silver, other objects, with Levasseur taking the Golden Cross. In 1724, Levasseur sent a negotiator to the governor on the island of Bourbon, present-day Reunion Island, to discuss an amnesty that had been offered to all pirates in the Indian Ocean who had decided to give up their practice. However, the French government wanted a large part of the stolen loot back, so Levasseur decided to avoid the amnesty altogether and settle down in secret on the Seychelles archipelago. Eventually, he was captured near Fort Dauphin, Madagascar. He was then taken to Saint Denis Reunion and hanged for piracy at 5 p.m. on July 7th, 1730. Legend tells that when he stood on the scaffold to be hanged, Levasseur wore a necklace containing a cryptogram of 17 lines and threw this into the crowd while exclaiming, "Find my treasure, the one who may understand it." The necklace has since been lost, but treasure hunters have since tried to decode the cryptogram, hoping its solution would lead to a treasure. In 1947, Englishman Reginald Cruz Wilkins studied the documents, but the cryptogram was much more difficult to solve than he first believed. Cruz Wilkins' early writing indicates that the code may be based on Masonic symbolism. He claimed to have discovered a connection with the zodiac, the clavicles of Solomon, and the 12 labors of Hercules. Various tasks representing the labors of Hercules had to be undertaken in strict order. The treasure chamber is somewhere underground and must be approached carefully to avoid being flooded. It is protected by the tides, which requires damming to hold them back, and is to be approached from the north. Until his death at Reunion, Cruz Wilkins sought and dug in the island of Mahi. In a cave, except for old guns, some coins, and pirate sarcophagi, he did not find anything. He died on May 3rd, 1977, before he broke the last piece of the code. His son John, a history teacher from the Seychelles, in the treasure, concluding that after using state-of-the-art equipment, he needs to go back to the old method, getting into this guy's mind, claiming he has 10 down, 2 to go in his Herculean labors. Today, the cryptogram and the supposed treasure both remain unsolved.